From this approach to human problems has grown a program in public education. And that's what I want to focus on now. This program consists of 11 radio broadcasts produced by PBS in Boston under the auspices of WGBH with funding from private sources. Richard Lee was the producer of the series, and Dr. Richard Chasen was my associate in working on the interview material. The series attempts to demonstrate the value of empathic review among normal people living through significant changes in the life cycle. The format was to interview families, couples, and peer groups at different points around some change, such as leaving high school, having a first job, moving from city to suburb. For most of these case studies, our first interviews attempted to elicit from participants their feelings about the approaching change in their lives. For example, we would probe the significance of a coming graduation, the hopes and anxieties it engendered, the past experiences that had induced similar feelings, the gains and losses anticipated from the change. Later, after the event, participants were asked about the actual experience as they lived it, how they felt, problems and feelings they encountered which had not been expected. On a few occasions, we played back some of the edited material to participants. It was exciting to observe their reactions to things they said and had since forgotten. Each program concluded with a professional comment that summarized the material and pointed to significant elements in the interviews. Now, what I'm going to do is to have you hear the second program, and this is called A Child at Camp. These excerpts are 3 interviews, one with the child, Artie, one with his parents, and one with the child and his parents, about feelings induced by being away from home for the first time. The main theme of all this is that the children have to be prepared for whatever's to happen, and the preparation that best includes this child being ready to go to camp or whatever it is, I think, is to be told by the parents their experience and not a judgmental way of what they lived through at some prior point in time. Now, the thing that's interesting about this paper is that it was written May 19, 1967. It's 32 years old, and I had mislaid it somewhere, never got it published, located it about a month ago. So things haven't changed too much. Now, this is a child at camp. I don't have handouts for this.
When did you decide you're going to go to camp?
Well, my father went here, and he told me all about it, and I was so excited I said I wanted to go. And I liked it. And my parents told me I was going to go anyway, so.
Do you remember how you felt saying goodbye?
Well, I did.
What?
Well, I didn't feel so happy about it, but now when I get to camp.
How unhappy did you feel when you said goodbye?
Not too much unhappy.
Huh?
Not too much unhappy.
Did you cry a little bit? Huh? Or did you feel sort of like crying and you were sort of trying to be brave?
Trying to be brave.
You don't feel that it's a nice thing to do to show that you're unhappy?
Mm-mm.
Why?
I don't know.
You know, it's a very normal kind of feeling. You know that? You don't know that?
No.
Did you feel like crying when you got on the plane? With Joel? Or how'd you feel?
Oh, yes. When we got up in the air, I felt okay.
Going you? What?
No.
Did your parents go on the plane with you?
No.
You just saw them as you were getting on the plane, say goodbye to them?
Mm-mm.
What?
I said bye and I left on the plane.
No, you said goodbye to them in the terminal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were you looking forward to saying goodbye to them, or You weren't even thinking much about it?
Well, I was sort of thinking about it.
Did you think at all about your family on the trip from Cleveland to Boston?
Well, sometimes, yeah.
What would you think?
I wonder what they're doing now.
What do you think they were doing?
Drive home.
Did you think for a moment that you'd like to be in the car with them?
No. As I was looking forward to go to camp.
Most kids feel a little bit lonesome going to camp for the first time.
I'll find my cousin. Why would I be lonesome?
Do you have any dreams here?
Oh, not many.
Dreams about what?
Cars, what else? Cars, baseball, lots of things.
What kind of cars you dream about?
Sports cars.
Sports cars? Does your father have a sports car?
My Uncle Jack does.
What kind?
TR4. It's a new TR4. And it's black. And it's four gear.
When did you first receive a letter from home?
First 2 weeks, I guess. First week, I don't know.
And what did they say?
How you doing? Everything.
Were you glad to hear from them? You wondering what they're doing at home?
Not now.
Not now. Just when?
I don't know.
Just on the plane?
Well, yeah.
So you're having a good time here.
Yeah.
Do you want to come back to this camp again, do you think? When?
Next year. I like it so much. I want to be an intermediate. I want to, then after I become an intermediate, I want to become a senior. And then I have to not come to the camp anymore.
When are you going to see your folks?
Tomorrow, after inspection.
When's inspection?
9:30. It starts at 9:30. It only lasts about 15 minutes.
What are they inspecting?
In our cabins.
No, what? What do they look for?
Messed up cubbies, wrinkled beds, dirty floor, dust all over the joints.
One of the reasons we wanted to talk with you, I wanted to talk with you,
What?
is to find out what kinds of feelings you have about going to camp.
I got lots of good feelings about it.
And kids have both good feelings and they have not so good feelings, like everybody does.
Yeah.
And most of the time, a lot of kids don't know how to talk too much about their feelings. And I sort of think it's important for the kids to learn how to talk about good feelings and not so good feelings. And not so good feelings are sort of sad feelings or lonely feelings or empty feelings, scary feelings. What?
I love those scary feelings.
You like scary feelings?
Yeah. At home we built spook houses, the little tunnels with sheets and everything.
Yeah.
And we scare everybody, we lock the doors, we make everything dark. And we make all these sort of guzzy things. We make, these rubber gloves where we put on a big long stick. And then we paint all this stuff red on the hand so it looks like blood's all over the hand. And when they're walking through, we go.
Who do you show it to?
Huh?
Who sees it?
Oh, well, the people that go through it.
Like who?
Yes. Brothers. There's not too many boys on the street.
Do they get scared, your little brothers?
Yeah.
Mickey
does. Mickey does. And he's 6-year-old. Ned is 4. He'll laugh through it.
Well, maybe Ned doesn't know enough to be scared.
The next is
I think that Gail and I made a judgment that we felt he was ready to go to camp. And then we started to suggest the possibilities to him of camping. We did this by showing him photographs of the camp.
I purposely, in no way, encouraged him to go to camp. Carl perhaps more so because he has had camp experience.
You've never been to overnight camp?
Yes, as a very young child for short periods of time. And my experiences were not pleasant to remember. But I, of course, have never mentioned this to Ari because I didn't want this to influence him in any way. And we did try to explain what a period of 8 weeks would be because this is a long time.
What were your experiences like?
Dreadful.
Huh?
Dreadful.
How old were you when you went?
9 and 10, or either 10 or 11.
What was singularly dreadful about it?
Well, I was extremely homesick, although I did not want my parents to come after me because I wanted to overcome them.
Be brave?
Yes. I didn't like the activities at the camp.
Did you tell him this, or did you tell me like this?
No, I would tell him that I was having a good time, but I missed them terribly, but don't come after me.
Do you remember what you felt inside? Did you wave goodbye and so on?
Oh, yes.
What did you feel?
Like it was as though I might never see them again.
Did you feel somewhat inside a little bit angry at them for sending you to camp?
No, because it had been my decision, just as I allowed Artie to make the decision.
But you know, you can make a decision and have mixed feelings about the decision.
Yes, that's right.
And as you go down to the wire, not too sure you really want to go through with it.
Yes, but then after you said that you wanted to, it's not any different for children as it is for adults. You've made this decision, and now you cannot change your mind. So
it's unalterable.
Yes. That you lose faith if you decide that you're going to change in midstream. And this is because of my experience. Of course, Artie is not aware of this because I have never mentioned this to any of the boys. And to
Did it
him.
surprise you at all? And that he shared some of your experience without even knowing one iota of what happened?
I would think that part of my experience is a very natural one, and I would assume that probably Artie is having the same mixed emotions. Although I think he's much more prepared for it than I was.
Well, let me just mention in brief to you one of the things that happened yesterday when I was converging on his feeling at the Nathan airport, saying goodbye to you. He was on the verge of tears.
Yes.
At many points yesterday, but at the same time, he had to be brave. And I sort of get a picture of you at your camp. In the same way, and then, you know, reciting all the different things, the wonderful things that he was doing. So in a sense, we can betray to our children an attitude. See, we don't even know what our faces look like. We think that we are withholding information from children. But I am convinced that we are much more naked to the world than we think we are.
Artie was on the verge of tears at the airport. In fact, he barely kissed us goodbye so that he could turn and run, so that he
didn't want to.
He didn't want us to see him break down.
Yeah.
And I think that at the airport he could have changed his mind several times and not gone at all. I went to camp on the train. It was a long trip. And I don't remember feeling uneasy about going there. I do remember the first day at camp, which was terrible.
What was terrible about it?
I was separated from my friend.
Uh-huh.
And I remember being put in a group of boys that were a few years older than I was. And they gave me a bad time the first day.
What did they do?
They made my bed very unpleasant, I remember. And I think that that continued 2 or 3 days, but after that I was fine. And camp, I was at camp 6 or 7 years, I think. And I remember camp as a wonderful, pleasant, and exciting experience, and probably the best childhood experience of all. And I tried to convey this to my son, the excitement of the wonderful time that I had at camp. I was most anxious for him to come. And I think that probably the decision to get Artie to go to camp, largely the influence came from me.
In our desire to shelter him from the painful experiences I think we only mentioned those experiences which he would enjoy. We prepared him from only one part of his experience, which is unfortunate. Have you ever tried to write to a child at camp in terms of just the subject matter of your letters? Carol and I discussed this the first week that Ernest was gone. And we both agreed that we shouldn't write letters telling about some of the pleasant experiences that his brothers are having, because he will automatically compare these to what he's doing, and then we'll say, golly, they're having a better time at home, and here they've sent me off to the wilderness, and they're going to have an absolute ball all summer
So
without
what do you
me.
say in your letters?
It's really difficult when I sit down to the typewriter. I'd be interested to see if any of the letters that I have written, if Artie hasn't thrown them away. Because I'm sure it's filled with a lot of small talk, nebulous information that doesn't mean anything. Like the dog is fine, and the cats or Daddy's new cat is growing, and or that the weather is warm.
You ever say,
or that your little brother is getting along at camp, at day camp, but everybody asks about you, and
do you say in the letter you miss it?
yes, we do say we miss you, but we know that you're having a good time, which is, a terrible way of saying, well, have a good time and don't be homesick.
But when you say we know you're having a good time,
Which is sort of trying to convince him, if he isn't having a good time.
don't tell us.
Yeah, which is a cowardly way that parents have.
With our particular son, Artie has had not very successful school experiences. He's been on the bottom of the heap right through school. And he's found school difficult. And we hoped that he would find the camping experience a successful experience because he's inclined toward camping. He likes it. He likes the outdoors. And I hope that camping would build him up and give him that 2 or 3 month successful experience so that he would feel much more confident, much more self-assured.
Later, after Artie had had an opportunity to talk with his parents, he joined them in a further talk with Dr. Paul.
One of the things I wonder about is
Share this, page 14.
maybe you, Carl, could tell Art how you felt, what you felt when you first went to camp.
When I first went to camp, I went with a number of other children that I knew. But when I got here, I was put into a cabin with children I didn't know. And they teased me the first week, and I was very unhappy about that. But then after...
How did they teach you when they knew?
Well, they were a little older than I was.
Yeah.
And they dumped my bed, put things in my bed,
Like what?
like pine needles and
Page 14.
sand.
15.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that very much.
Remember how you felt inside? When you...
I really didn't mind being uncomfortable. I just didn't like the fact that somebody was doing that to me that I didn't know.
Were you mad at the fellows who did it?
Yes, I was mad at them.
Did you ever, during that first week, or particularly that first day, did you feel you wished maybe in some ways that you didn't go to camp? Now, this is before you began to find camp fun.
Yes, I think probably I did feel that way. But I didn't understand why the other children did that at the beginning.
Do you remember their packing your trunk?
Yes, I do remember packing. The packing was an endless job. And I was overcome by how big that trunk was, and like I was never coming back. It was just the most enormous trunk.
Yeah.
It was 3 times the size of Artie's trunk.
Really?
It was a great big wardrobe trunk that I could almost stand inside.
They were packing all your
It was
worldly
incredibly
belongings
big.
and sending you off.
And then a duffel bag to go with it. Just ominously big.
And who helped you pack, do you remember?
My mother.
Your sister helped you too?
No, my mother packed, and I can remember my mother sewing name tapes on it endlessly.
Did she ever seem sort of sad?
No, I don't remember my mother feeling sad about us going to camp. It never occurred to me that she would be sad that I was going to
That a
camp.
mother could be sad about
Yeah.
having a child going off to camp.
No, that never occurred to me.
When did it ever occur to you after that?
I think it only occurs to me when I see my own son going to camp, and we're sorry to see him go away. I think that's really it's an experience you can't describe, to see your own son get on the airplane and go away for 4 weeks. It's hard to imagine that I have a son old enough and big enough to go away. And
Did you ever tell Artie about your own camp experience?
I don't believe I have.
No. Did you go to camp?
I didn't go away for the whole summer. I just went away for 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah. I did camp.
Well, it was overnight camp for 2 weeks and 3 weeks.
2 weeks of overnight. And just
And
one night.
we lived in tents, and we didn't have bathrooms, and it was, I didn't like it very much. And we didn't have a lake or a river, and there wasn't too many activities. That was a long time ago.
Did you find it sort of scary?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what did you feel sort of a little scared of as you look back?
I was scared of going away for the first time by myself and being with other girls that I didn't know. Although that didn't bother me, I made friends quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But I missed my mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed my cats and my dog, and I just missed home.
Did you let him know in the letter you missed him?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I let them know, but not, that's all. I said that I missed home.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't write letters that said that I was
As homesick as
as
you really
homesick
were.
as I really was.
And what did your father write you back? Father and your mother?
Oh, they were just chatty, newsy letters about what was going on at home, and
With the cats and
the cats and the dog, and my friends who hadn't gone to camp.
Yeah. Did you feel jealous of their being back at home?
Yes,
Remember that?
yes, I do remember.
Did you write to them at all?
No.
You're kind of mad that they didn't go with you?
Yes. I wanted them to be as miserable as I was.
What do you think about what your mom's been talking about, Artie?
Well, I don't know.
Do you feel the same way that I must have felt?
Yeah.
You'll hear on the tape Artie made a point where he felt that in some ways it wasn't really that normal to feel sad. Remember something this way?
Yeah.
And one thing I don't understand is where you ever got that idea.
Do you think that you're not supposed to feel sad? Is that it?
No.
Did you think that you wouldn't feel homesick or sad? You said that you wouldn't have any feelings like that.
Yeah.
Is it because Daddy and I didn't tell you that you might feel lonely?
No.
Artie, do you think it might have helped you a little bit if they had told you?
Probably.
Would it? Because Daddy and I didn't tell you, did we?
No.
See, in some ways, your mommy and daddy didn't know that was very important for you to know things like this. This is why we're talking like this together, so maybe they might learn.
But Daddy was so busy telling you about all the good things at camp. And we didn't tell you that you could feel lonely, and that you could miss home more than you thought. But you still have a good time along with feeling lonely too.
Don't know.
You don't know? Hmm?
No.
You're not too sure about that?
No.
Well, you were telling me something about yesterday that you felt like you sort of had to be kind of brave, remember? Maybe it's really more brave to talk about some of these feelings. You know?
No.
Hmm?
I don't know.
Did you feel homesick most of all when you saw us?
Yeah.
That's all right. You see, if you can talk about these feelings with your mommy and daddy, you can have more fun at camp and doing other things too. Otherwise, you just have to keep them inside and sort of pretend that you're real brave and the feelings are there. See?
Are you surprised to find out that mothers and daddies feel sad sometimes too?
Yeah.
Because they do.
Seems sort of strange to you?
No.
Huh?
No.
But it seems strange for your mommy and daddy to talk to you about it?
I don't know.
Do you think we should talk to you? We should have talked to you before you came to camp about it? You think we should have?
Yeah.
I think we should have too.
Huh?
Have the hiccups.
Crying and feeling sad is just as normal as the sun coming up. It's just a matter of people knowing about it, learning about it.
Any thoughts about this?
How sometimes we don't prepare our children thoroughly when we do send them.
We don't know how to think about preparation. We think
We
that what
think
we
we're
think
doing the right
about,
thing.
they're going to think about. What we think is right, they're going to think is right. And throughout this, at times, you can notice Art's response is to suggest that at all costs he needs to protect his parents.
He was really feeling his way, but it was too dangerous territory. to go
That's
on
right.
into that.
I think
That's right.
because the parents are so protective and shielding of him, he feels he needs to be that way too.
Well, his
That's-
parents in protecting him are protecting themselves.
Right.
And he picks up the message that he's going to do the same.
And this is why we men do so many stupid things. We're afraid, anybody knows we're afraid, so we'll
That's right.
drive 90 miles an hour or charge a machine gun nest or
That's right.
At any cost, do
At
whatever.
any cost.
Getting killed is not as bad as somebody knowing you're afraid.
That's right. Losing face. Losing face is a big thing.
If we're head blood, not near as bad as
Right.
cheese, little